Here. This episode of Lords of the Storm is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
Heroes, gather tribute and earn my favor. What do you say? Are you ready to begin?
Hey everyone, what is up? My name is Greg Gizmo Zord Parker, and you are listening to Lords of the Storm episode 158, the weekly Heroes of the Storm podcast for you, the true Heroes of the Storm. I'm joined tonight, of course, by the Zord Lords themselves, Mr. Kevin Multizord Ellis and Ryan TBK Zord Reader. And on this week's episode, Heroes of the Dorm brackets are live, and we now have a date and location for the Final Four. Rest in peace, 6.5. Our hero drought is over. Varian gets a makeover. And the Eastern Clash has come to a close. But we'll check on the other Zords before we get into all that good stuff. First, Multi, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. I've got my, yet again, another unopened, or rather opened, bag of Doritos. Did you guys know that Blizzard was doing this cross promo with Blaze?
What?
You guys see this?
Crazy.
Blaze Doritos. They're pretty good, if I may give a review. It's not as good as like Salsa Verde or even Spicy Nacho, in my opinion, but, you know, they don't overdo it, and it's fine. It's a fine chip.
I hear if you buy a bag of those now, today, they're actually slightly smaller because they got a nerf.
Yeah, slightly. Yeah, it's not as spicy as it once was, but it's maybe for the best. I don't know. I would have to go back and analyze the entire Doritos meta to give you the answer there.
Fair enough.
But, yeah. Mm-hmm.
TBK, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing wonderfully. I wish I had some Doritos.
The Doritos do sound really good right now. Actually, anything
kind
of sounds
they really
good.
do.
I haven't eaten
Anything?
since like
Sadly,
3.
I do
had
not.
a Chipotle burrito, so that's still kind of hold me over, I guess.
It tides you over for some time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Good old Chipotle. What have you guys been up to in gaming this week, Multi?
I've been playing some Heroes, some WoW, some Hearthstone, and in each case, I'm kind of waiting on something new, frankly. Like, even in WoW, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm running out of new gear to chase on my druid because I don't have time to raid and that sort of thing. So, I mean, that, and then just kind of waiting on this PTR to roll around into live and the next expansion in Hearthstone. I kind of feel like I'm in purgatory, but I mean, I've been having fun anyway, you know, so can't complain too much. There's good stuff in each game, but it's just Blizzard's making us wait. That's all.
It's true. I kind of feel you. So I've been taking it easy in Heroes this week now that Phoenix has officially been announced and tried him on the PTR. So I've still been going strong in Diablo. Up to like Paragon 670 and pushing Greater Rift 88, I think, on my Crusader. So finally got I need one more piece of gear. But I am still super enjoying that game. And super excited for it to 99.9%, hopefully, almost positively be coming out on Switch, which is nice. And
it
then
sounds
none
like
of those,
doesn't it?
Yeah,
it does. None of those numbers you just said made sense to me, but they sounded impressive.
you used to be like the Diablo guy.
Yeah, still love it. It's just I just don't have time, you know.
I'm pretty sure the Diablo numbers have literally gone beyond comprehension now.
Yeah, I do.
It's like I did 18,341
It's
billion
I do-
721,000 damage to that one mob with one spell.
between 200 and 500 billion damage currently. So
Wow.
you're a little off, TBK. It's
Oh, forgive me, Greg. I'm sorry. I grossly underestimated
you
your
did.
damage.
Like, I'm powerful, TBK. I am a Nephilim, and I am not to be taken for granted. All right.
You,
I guess so.
are definitely an overinflated Nephilim.
Yes, that I am. But yeah, it's been a good time in there, and I'm super excited that we got the hero announced. But we'll get more into that once we get further along. But TBK, what have you been up to?
I, of course, never take it easy with heroes. And that's been basically my main thing that I've been playing so much of the past few nights. Jumped on the PTR a little bit. That was a lot of fun. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. What else? Oh, I've almost beaten Wolfenstein New Order. So I've been playing through that as my I'd always try to have like a single player game on the side, and that's been my single player game lately. It's actually been really, really good.
That's like a Doom style game, right?
Yeah, kinda. It's like if Nazis won the war type thing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's really interesting. So I'm trying to finish up that, and then I'm gonna play through the single player campaign of Battlefront 2, and then the old new Tomb Raider.
The old new.
That didn't make any sense
Tomb
either.
Raider.
Because
Gizmo's just throwing out numbers. You're just throwing out words.
it's the new Tomb Raider, but there's two of them out now, so it's the older new one.
Oh, I've played that one. I think
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
It's the one that if you haven't seen it, Conan does the like video game nerd review things, and it's the one where he constantly throws her into the river and she gets impaled on the plant, the tree stump over and over again, and it's just like a minute of him going, oh, 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 oh.
Classic Conan.
You're selling me. Are you guys excited for the new movie, Tomb Raider?
I'll probably go see it.
Yeah, I'll go see it. I've never been like a huge Tomb Raider fan, but
Me either. But I'm waiting for just a really good video game movie adaptation, other than Super Mario Brothers, of course.
I need to watch that again. Now that you mentioned it, it was either last week or the week before. I'll find it. They need to put it on Netflix.
You don't need to watch it again, but you should.
Maybe it would ruin the memories I have of it because it's been a long time.
It most likely will.
Well, let's go ahead and move along here. Before we get into the news, we have a quick patron update. New patron. So shout out to Weston H. Thank you very much for the support, sir. And if you would like to contact us either by email, Discord, Twitter, Twitch, any of those things to let us know what you'd like your Zord title to be, we will get that to you next week and announce it, and it'll be fun. So thanks again, and of course, thank you to all of our patrons out there. Now, let's go ahead and hop on into the news. All right, so first up, Heroes of the Dorm. The bracket is out. The challenge has been put down, and you can fill that out for your chance to win $10,000. $10,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And that is Heroes of the Dorm, singular. There's only one dorm.
Yeah, unless you're reading the
Lashes wanted you to
title,
know.
it's Heroes of the Dorms, Heroic 4.
Wait, what? Where is this?
Apostrophe.
Yeah,
S.
it's apostrophe S.
Yeah, apostrophe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's
apostrophe S.
but
possessive, that
I have
doesn't count.
never once referred to it as Heroes of the Dorms. That's even wrong to me. So,
That would be like calling it Heroes of
Even-
the Storms.
mooses.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, I don't know.
But there is something cooler this year. If you correctly pick all 63 matches, no problem. You'll get $1 million.
They need to step their game up. Jimmy Buffett, $1 million for every year for the rest of your life. Not Jimmy Buffett, Warren Buffett.
Warren Oh, good. Yeah, let me pull up again the odds of this happening because it's really funny. I mean, it's probably more likely here than it is in March Madness, just because you can kind of look at how some of the teams have done so far, and in the past years,
You
some
can do
teams
that.
we just know are going to do really well. But there's
NCAA
always
bracket, too.
upsets. Yeah, and there's always upsets. So let me run the numbers again. I'll do some calculations, but your odds on that one are a little slim.
Okay. But
I was waiting for a number. This is like the number is.
It was
really
more
big.
than like it was.
I've got it. Just give me a second here.
Was it in the quintillions?
Yeah. There's a precise number. It is 1 second. Just keep talking. I'll get it. Don't even worry about it.
But yes, so the brackets are announced. And as I mentioned, we do have a location and a date set for this, which is fantastic. A lot more time than we've had in the past. And it is going to be May 12th, Saturday, May 12th, at the Blizzard Arena in Burbank, California. And the tickets are on sale for that. You can pick those up for $20. So you have over a month here to, if this is something you're wanting to do, you can plan for it, find a room, and, it not be as much of a financial strain if you're traveling, which I believe, TBK, aren't you going to this?
Are you?
I'm planning on it.
Planning on it?
Nice.
Yep. I'm
Awesome.
planning on it.
Can we just move there? Like just the three of us?
Into the actual esports arena.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. They have apartments above it, don't you know? We
Yeah.
talked about
No, I think it should happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so number, by the way.
Let's go get really good at Heroes and re-enroll in college.
Yeah. I agree. Number was 9 quintillion, 223 quadrillion, 372 trillion, 36 billion, 854 million, 775,808.
No biggie.
You can do it.
So if you just have everyone in the world fill out a bracket for you, who knows how many times? If you have everyone in the
You'll
world
have much
fill out
better
like
odds.
a million brackets for you, you might have a chance. I don't know.
Watch it happen, though.
Mike Morheim
that is the funny
instantly
thing.
regretting his decision. Like, oh god.
Yeah, that is the funny thing. They probably, because they throw that out there knowing the odds, and it's just like, it sounds really good in PR, but
Sure.
the chances of somebody actually getting it are basically zero. And then
Well, that's why
someone
Jimmy
actually
Buffett
gets
does it, too.
Jimmy Buffett doesn't do it.
I know.
It's,
Oh, you guys are terrible.
$1 million in paradise.
I'm super proud of Blizzard though for announcing this earlier. Like, kudos to you guys. It's been really rough the past few years with just, like 2 to 3 weeks of time beforehand, and now we've got about a month and a half.
So you can plan.
So that's actually good. Just be warned, as of now, the tickets are still there. But if I am remembering right from reading earlier, there's only 450 seats in the Blizzard Arena.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not going to be a huge capacity from that perspective. So if you want a ticket, better get it like now.
Do the tickets cover you for the entire thing, or just like?
It's the final four, so it's.
Oh, it's just the final four. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's just that one day.
All right.
Yeah,
you should get yours, DBK. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I'm glad they got it out earlier. I'm kind of surprised it took as long as it did, considering it's going to be at the Blizzard Arena, and they've known the Overwatch schedule for a while now. But it's good that it's there.
I'll take
they
it.
They have the arena.
I'll
So.
take it. It's better than last year and the year before. So I will take it.
Yeah.
It might be a PR move to like build hype, but I don't know. Building plans is better than building hype, and they've found a better balance this year.
Yeah, for sure. 6.5 out of 10, guys. The meme is dead, but it will live on forever in all of our hearts. The infamous IGN review was like what 2 years ago? Was that longer ago?
It was
a while ago.
I think it was like right
ago.
at launch, maybe.
Yeah, it was a little after. I know the video had some of the crowds cheering in the background with those arena levels and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, quite some time ago.
Yeah, so IGN has updated.
June 2nd of 2015.
2015. Okay, so about 2.5.
Yeah, 2015.
They updated the review as of March 19th, and it's a pretty solid review going through it, and they have updated their score to an 8 out of 10, which is sad, but also very good. So
it's still good. I mean, it is a game that's been out for some time now, so it's not the new hotness at this point. I felt like the points that they took away from it, though, weren't necessarily fair. I mean, one of the points that they were talking about was shared experience, and they said, and sometimes it just doesn't work. It's like, really? It works every game for me. Like, I just like that approach. I don't need there to be a hard carry, and I mean, the system is fine. So the other one was, what were they? Just loot crates in general, and just talking about how it did make it seem a little bit in the video review that, you know, they made it sound like the only way to really progress in the game was through loot chests. I saw a couple people in our Discord making that argument too. And I don't know. I mean, yes, it helps, obviously, because you can unlock heroes with them, but you can do it with gold too and just sinking time into the game. So I don't know. I mean, I am not salty about an 8, but it's got to be an 11, right?
No, 8 is, you know, it's good, especially like you said, anytime the score goes up, that's a good thing. But you also have to remember, you know, these aren't people that this isn't their game. They're just reviewing the game, so they play it for a month or so. But yeah, the loot crates were kind of the only thing I disagreed with. The thing I took away from that is they made it sound like you can only get loot crates by purchasing them, and that was kind of like the money hole. Which
he had one
you can
line
purchase
in it
some,
about,
but you can get them each time you level up.
Yeah, right. He had one line in it that Blizzard was generous with them. So
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, otherwise.
But overall, I don't know. Good review. Thank you, IGN.
At least it sounded like the person played it this time.
Yeah, that is true. Yes.
That is true.
That is a big improvement over the last one.
And Heroes, you'll always be 6.5 out of 10 in my heart.
Yeah. Wasn't I don't remember what the other thing that came out of that review was. It was something with Zeratul or something to do with Protoss that was misinterpreted. I don't remember.
But I have to go back. They actually, at the end of this one, they said, you can go back and watch our now infamous 2015 review. I thought that was kind of funny.
Now infamous.
Well, again, it will live on in our hearts forever. We talked last week a little bit about Heroes that's going to be at PAX, and they're going to be talking about their latest unexpected hero that'll be entering the Nexus. Another tidbit came out about this that's going to be Thursday, April 5th between 12:30 and 1:30 p.m. I imagine that is going to be, well, I don't know if that's going to be Pacific or Eastern. I would say Pacific, but then it's PAX East. So maybe Eastern. Regardless, you know, we'll find that out. I'm sure there'll be more information about it. This really piqued my interest. So they're going to be talking about the lore of Heroes of the Storm.
Yes.
And, you know, how that's going to add to a larger Blizzard universe. So we've kind of gotten teases that, you know, potentially there was some actual lore to the Nexus in the Hanzo Alexstrasza reveal trailer. I believe that was the trailer, right? Where we saw the different portals and stuff in the background from the worlds.
It was a talking point at BlizzCon, too, that they brought up a few times, that they want to flesh out the Nexus as one of the universes in Blizzard.
Yeah.
So long shot. But I'm hoping that we get, long shot. But it would be awesome if we got Overwatch-style shorts for Nexus lore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be cool. The other thing...
With all the Heroes characters.
The other thing I've seen from this... Because,
well, maybe not all, but...
Like I said, they're going to be talking about an unexpected hero entering the Nexus. All of our minds, we've had the discussion of, finally getting Deckard Cain, maybe. I've seen talk of people wanting, and it makes sense, potentially getting a unique Heroes of the Storm born character.
We've wanted this forever.
Yeah, from the
Raven
I
Lord.
could totally see that.
So that would be neat and unexpected as well. So
that'd be so cool.
I'm torn. I would love that, but I also really want Cain. So I don't know.
A Nexus specific one could kind of fit that data mined bookshelf cathedral.
Good.
Because it was super Heroes Nexus themed in the, the stained glass art and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Maybe Cain is the Raven Lord. Now there's a twist.
Ooh.
It's probably going to end up being, some girl wandering in the woods or stuck in some scientific research facility in the freezing cold, and the Nexus just ends up being a hypothermic dream.
Yep. Exactly right.
Nice
for
one.
a third time. You know, I don't know. Could be.
Yeah, I was actually I was talking at BlizzCon with one of the Blizzard animators, and he was saying how much the cinematics team loved working on the hero shorts for them, like the Varian one or the Alexstrasza one or the Diablo Diva Genji one.
Mm-hmm. You mean the Deathwing one, right?
Yeah, the Deathwing one. Because they get to do the mashup, and that's something that's, you know, very original and very unique, and something that you really don't see in any of the other games. You get to work with everything. That's why I think that being like an artist on the Heroes team would just be the coolest, because you get to play in all the universes and then mash stuff up. So, and it's kind of the same thing, which kind of makes me wonder from the lore announcement. I mean, Overwatch is not a single player game at all, but it probably has some of like the deepest, biggest lore that Blizzard is pushing right now, just through these shorts and these comics and these locations and whatever. So I'd love to see if Heroes was pushed like that too.
I could definitely see it going that direction, because obviously it's been huge for Overwatch and people have loved it. So if they're looking for something to give Heroes that boost and that publicity, that could definitely be a good way to go.
Good point. I still think WoW trounces Overwatch in terms of lore, though. So,
WoW has been out for 12 plus years.
Chronicle number 3 is on sale like next week.
The Warcraft lore has been around forever, but considering how long Overwatch has been out, they have gone lore crazy. That's between shorts and like the map locations. They've done motion comics and all sorts of stuff. So if we got a little more of that for Heroes, I'd love it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So coming along with the StarCraft anniversary and Phoenix entering, we do have some more StarCraft themed goodies coming to the Nexus. If you log in anytime between March 27th and April 23rd, you'll get 3 portraits. The super sweet, amazing looking Protoss, Terran, and Zerg portraits. I went back and watched these the last time I was trying to get into StarCraft and play through the campaign. I never played StarCraft 1, so I went back. I was like, I'm going to find all the videos and watch them in order to kind of get some of the lore. Oh, man. Those are old.
The cinematics.
Yeah.
But they were so good for their time.
They were.
You could say that about
the
current Blizzard cinematics as well. But
they always have been.
Yeah, they've always been top notch. But it is kind of funny.
It is, yeah. It's I made it all the way through. I mean, it's still, you know, it doesn't really hold up, but it's watchable, I guess, still. But
wait. Random Nexus man. He's going to be the next hero.
You mean Sexy Picard?
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen Mello in chat has been talking about that.
Just had to. Sorry, I had to get that out there. It just hit me. Inspiration. It's not going to happen, but when it does, I said something about it.
Yeah, Mello's idea behind the random avatar would be, it's kind of like Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat, to where that hero would morph into other characters for a short time. It's like an
almost permanent Abathur ult.
Yeah, but
that's
but
fun.
all the heroes.
Yeah, right.
It'd be a fun hero to play.
Interesting, actually.
That actually would be kind of
That'd
fun.
be a cool game mode. Every time you die, you have it in Overwatch. Every time you die, you respawn as a new hero, like an ARAM like that.
Or
that'd be really interesting.
Yeah,
that's an easy one to implement right there.
Maybe just don't have talent picks or something.
Yeah,
and you just pick the ultimate every time, just like the level 10 arena type maps.
Mm-hmm.
They could be interesting.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I played the Brawl this week. We've had this one in the past, right? I just don't think I played it that week, or is this new?
Where you collect
This should be new for the StarCraft anniversary, I think.
Yeah, it's not exactly groundbreaking, but it was fun.
Yeah, it's a
different twist on ARAM.
I played my 3 games. I didn't get the power up a single time because I got stuck playing support Stukov every single game. We don't get any of the gyms.
I was
won every
Rhaegar and
game.
I jumped in there, but
Yeah.
I got it.
But I enjoyed it. I still wish, please Blizzard, let us play the ARAM maps and give us the option of an actual ARAM randoms instead of the pick 3. Like the pick 3 is a cool idea, but when you want to just play ARAM, it's I just want to play ARAM. I want a rando. That's all.
Yeah.
So also
change that up.
Yeah, with this StarCraft celebration, we're getting some more skins and mounts, and as well as some more portraits besides the 3 that they give you. There's some more skin tints for heroes like Tassadar, Azmodan, Dahaka, Gul'dan. We're getting a Zergling mount, which is cute.
It's kind of terrifying.
But terrifying at the same time.
You think it's cute?
The way it moves, it's kind of like a little puppy or something, but its head's really small and creeps me out.
Wouldn't that be funny? Jerky movements, honestly, especially when it takes that little bite.
They used the Lunar Dog animation set and just made it a Zerg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it looks like a Zerg. It's cool. And we also have the Celestial Ursa, which that's a pretty cool mount. I've always loved these. We've had them for anytime you make a first purchase of gyms. Well, we've had the horse, we've had the raptor, now we have Ursa. And I believe this works. Like if you've made this purchase before, if you go make another purchase again, you'll get this mount as well.
Yes.
But it's a cool mount. I believe it's Tyrande. When I play Tyrande, I always use one of these mounts because there's a couple skin tints that look good.
I like how the animation on the mount kind of stays still. I mean, it's moving, but it just looks so weird to the eye in the middle of the game. So
it really does.
I've been a fan too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I do like the raptor though. I'll probably stick with raptor.
Gives me a reason to purchase gems again.
That's true. That's true.
Or loot crates.
Excuse to purchase gems? Oh, okay. Why not?
So yes, in the before we get to the PTR, actually, let's talk today. We'll talk Phoenix here in just a second.
Oh, you missed the portraits, Greg.
The most important.
I talked about the portraits.
Most important part.
You missed the good portraits.
I said there were other portraits that were coming along besides the 3 you get.
So when were we going to talk about them? Because this is like my main thing this week.
Yeah, this is a big deal. The Carbot.
Those portraits.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Did you forget?
Sorry, I did completely forget. I knew those were announced. I didn't put that in connection right now. Yes, those are absolutely incrable.
Oh
yeah.
My
so
God.
here's how I feel about the Carbot portraits. Frankly, like so far I've been rocking pretty much more or less the Tech Alpha full level one, that kind of pink one with the little Alpha A, just to show, I've been playing this game for a little bit. But I feel like when these come out, it is incorrect to not use them. Like I feel like you are playing the game wrong if you don't have one of these on. And I need the Brightwing one. That's all I'm saying.
She has a nice.
Yeah, and she's grinning as wide as there is a frame.
It's a Pac-Man Brightwing.
The Morales is my second place though. Just the tongue. I don't know.
Yeah, and not only are they portraits, they're sprays too.
Are they different sprays, or they're just they have sprays of these
below.
portraits?
Yeah, they're sprays too.
I don't know if they're animated or just standalone. I mean, they're fine either way, but
if they were animated, that would just be like the icing on what is already one of the most delicious cakes ever.
The only thing they need to do now is, well, actually, I guess does Uther actually have a line in game that says you should drink from that fountain?
I think so. I mean, he pulls a lot of the audio.
Yeah.
From.
There's no Uther portrait, which is sad.
That's a good point.
But I think my favorites are my go-to will either be the Morales or the Zagara. It's got a cute little baby Zergling there.
I like the Ragnaros.
Of course.
The Lunara is just hilarious.
Yeah.
And I love the KT one with the little kitty. So I'm just gonna have to cycle around all my shards. As soon as this patch comes out, all my shards are gone.
Yeah. And we'll stop talking about these just because we're talking about them and you guys aren't seeing them. So definitely check them out.
We'll have the link in the show notes.
Oh my gosh.
Go click it.
I am going to talk about one more.
And listen to this part again.
The Phoenix one is by far the best.
Wait, which one? The
Phoenix,
one
where it's him shoved in the dome of the the Dragoon.
Oh yeah, I see this now. That's pretty good.
Ah, they're so good. Okay, I'm gonna get distracted. I could talk about those for a long time. So now let's move on to the balance patch that came out today. Some tweaks coming to some heroes that are, some of them are sad to me, but they're probably needed. Overall, Greymane is getting a Razor Swipe cooldown reduction and some changes to visceral attacks. And the reason the developers say is he's a little too good at everything right now, which he really is. So they're wanting to take away some of his PvE viability and, wave clear and getting merc camps, which makes sense. But
that was his strongest suit among, I think, a lot of good strong suits, because him on Battlefield and in a comp that's built to take down the Immortals was just nuts. Yeah. So I'm cool with this.
I'm a little worried about the Razor Swipe cooldown increase in team fights, because that 1 second that's pretty big for when you dive into the middle of a team. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. I wonder if they would be able to do anything for whenever they come across problems like these in the future, because they have before, or if it would be too complicated for people to understand for whatever reason, is if you use a specific ability on a merc camp, say you use the ability and it doesn't hit a hero, the cooldown's 4 seconds. If you hit a hero, cooldown's 3 seconds.
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's a readability thing, honestly.
Haven't we had something like that before, though?
From it.
It's Medivh's Q.
Yeah.
Has significant cooldown reduction if you hit heroes.
Yeah.
But it's built into the ability, so I mean it can be done. There's precedent, but
yeah. Let's see here. Maev, she's getting hit with the nerf bat again, which is needed. What I predicted, Vault of Wardens getting a 33% increase, which is huge. Pretty much all of her stuff is getting a slight reduction, because Fan of Knives is still a big problem with Blade Dance and a whole bunch of talents. Containment Disc is getting a cooldown reduction to try and get that picked, which again surprises me how big of an impact Warden's Cage has had. I was so wrong on that.
So was I. And I still think Containment Disc can be good, but yeah.
I think it's just because Warden's Cage is so big. Like the area it creates is absolutely massive, and the knockback is per thing, not just one. So one hero could technically run into multiple wardens and get knocked back.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a wombo.
It's just a lot of
too.
value. Yeah, or even a disengage.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So that's also getting a cooldown increase from 80 to 100, which is 20 seconds ain't no joke. Thrall here, Crash Lightning getting nerfed, which that thing has been nuts. So they're reducing the maximum damage from 480 to 360, which again is that's a 25% reduction. And the quest completion is now going to be increased by 33% from 20 to 30 stacks. So I've been playing a lot of Thrall lately because he's been super powerful, and this should kind of hopefully put him down a few pegs, because he's been dominating. Yeah. Vala Zul'jin getting some slight buffs. Only thing for Vala is her multi-shot getting a damage increase. Zul'jin basic attack and snare getting a buff. So maybe I'll start playing some Zul'jin again. I don't know. He's one I've always wanted to go back to. Kyle Ferguson has played him a lot, and just never been very good with him.
I just can't get into him.
Yeah. The basic attack damage buff there is huge. I mean, it's 4, which does not sound like a big number, but when you think about like his attack speed scaling, and honestly, I mean, I think he is the auto attack character in the game right now. So
right now for another week.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good point. Very good point. Would it be nice if you had 2 different types of auto attacks? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Like one that did single target and one that did AoE.
Or like one that rewarded stutter stepping.
They should throw that in game. Yeah. They should throw that in game.
Blizzard, if you want to take that idea back, you can.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's a freebie.
Maev getting a slight increase buff here, I guess, from his last changes to bring him up a little bit. Did I say Maev?
You actually said it very succinctly too. Maev.
Yeah. Dang it.
Mid
Hero of the dorms. So are you still trying out Medivh? TBK?
Who, me?
I am.
Like, so how has he
this
been?
is-
Do you think this helps?
This is good nerfs. He's insane right now. Played right. Like the arcane explosion was just stupidly overpowered. And so
Yeah.
that's why that's that's why that's getting nerfed. Reabsorption, they're actually increasing the heal on it, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I don't know.
That's
He
an
might-
interesting talent
He might need
anyway.
another
Though.
little nerf, honestly. And he's a weird one because I think certain heroes will always have a low win rate. Like Genji's win rate is not necessarily super high right now. But that's not going to keep people from playing him, and that doesn't keep him from being good in specific situations or with specific people, right? And so it's the same with Medivh. Medivh's always been pretty low win rate wise, even when he's very strong, because in the right hands, that pretty strong can be turned into like just stupidly overpowered.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's always been kind of a hard character to balance because of just what he can do.
Yeah.
Turns out though, in the wrong hands, still terrible, and that's me. I actually played him some this past week because I still don't have him at 5. I'm embarrassed to say he's like one of my 2 heroes that's the case. And so I thought to myself, I at least want that gold to build up for Phoenix, and I am struggling to get to 5 with Medivh.
You know,
I can't do it, man.
I think I finally got him to 5 when he first came out. I played him and I was like, I think I might be able to do this. Like I just need to practice him a little more. And then I stopped playing him and I picked him up probably a couple months ago to try and start playing him again. Nope, it's a big nope. I lost it all, and I have no. It's just not happening.
You guys have seen my portal placement before. It's not.
I have.
It is not changed.
It's very easy to use your portals because they're next to each other.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just to confuse getting ahead of the enemy team.
It's just Vala's vault distance, right?
Like I'm gonna throw these portals.
You don't want
in
it
front
to
of
be
you to block you.
Too unfair.
No.
You just you want to give that team the advantage still. And I lied, guys. So Phoenix, not the newest hero entering the Nexus. I've never heard of this person before. Ariel. Who's this?
Who?
I don't know. Ariel here apparently
Interesting.
getting some stuff. It doesn't give a whole lot of information about her kit. No, Ariel has been lonely by herself. Actually, I don't know if she's by herself because I haven't seen her. She's just been gone for a long time. So what they're wanting to do here is increase her self-hope generation and playmaking potential by increasing basic attack and reducing cooldown of Detainment Strike. But then at the same time, they're going and nerfing Energized Core at 7 by energy stored from basic attacks against non-heroic targets reduced from 50 to 40%. So we'll see how that works out. I actually do think we may see her come back next week. I think Phoenix is going to be a great target for her. So
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So
historically she just kind of dropped off because of the support nerf, and she was maybe almost the main problem with supports doing too much damage and that sort of thing in the double support meta. So, but yeah, I mean, they just hadn't really brought her up since, and it's good to see them delve into her because, I mean, regardless of what you think about the role of support, I have always thought of her as one of the more high damagey ones, and I'm okay with her fitting that role personally.
Yeah, well, and auto attack meta hasn't really been a thing for a while, so you can tell from these notes, them giving a boost to Zul'jin, his base got auto attack. Vala, even though it's not her auto attack, just her multi shot, to perhaps kind of prepare for when Phoenix enters. Maybe they're trying to get some more auto attack comps back in there, and Arya would fit in perfect with that. So we'll see. Malfurion, just getting nature swiftness and nature's balance nerfed a little bit. His speed is going to be reduced from 5 to 4% per hero affected by regrowth. Please I know they said it's coming, but the icon for regrowth, something easier to tell
Right.
who it's going to be wearing
Yes,
off
that'd be
of.
super nice.
I was playing him a game this weekend, and people on the team were talking about it, like whether it's something to where even if you just make the leaves turn from green to yellow to red, or give it the circle countdown like Stukov has, or people have even said like down by your name and health bar, it has like the order, like little hero portraits of who's it's gonna run off on next. Just something, because that is really hard to keep track of. Whenever you're now also Malfurion, you're going nuts with him whenever you play him now, because you're needing to get the damage to heal as well. So he's a lot of work, but he's fun. Just needs
I like
that
the
little tweak.
orange to red idea. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think that would be an easy way to tell. And then just a few more here. Artanis getting, again, auto attack hero, getting some slight buffs. His mana cost going down for his Q and his W, and his Templar Zeal faster cooldown rate increased from 200 to 300%. So let's get those auto attackers back in here. Blaze, who has been a force to be reckoned with in the HGC, and bunker drop being a large reason for that, being able to enter and exit the bunker quickly, gaining armor. They increased the cooldown, and exit bunker now has a 1 second cooldown before it can be used. So that's going to stop the
huge.
spamming of getting in and out, that's a good change.
Yeah, I agree. And they even cite
Agreed.
in the developer comment that at higher levels of play, it's too effective. And if anyone's watched either the Western or Eastern Clash, you know this to be true. They can use it to huge effect.
Yeah. And then Sonya just getting a couple talent mix-ups here. Main reason being, per the developer comments, the combination for Ancient Spear talents is just getting too much value right now. So they're wanting to reduce the cooldown reduction she gets to kind of keep those from being default choices. And they're also giving a nice buff to Furious Blow at 1 for damage to pretty much just try and switch up some of her builds here. You know, make things a little bit more attractive, which makes sense. I haven't played her since her changes yet, but I've heard good things. Or bad things, depending on how you want to look at it. And finally, Tyrael, Justice for All allied shield bonus reduced from 100 to 75. So slight Tyrael nerf there for his team sustain, which again makes sense because he's been having a really big impact as well.
Yeah.
Mainly because of the mecha skin. You can't beat a mecha. Mech.
Mecha skin.
Mech skin. No, mecha skin.
You gotta say mecha
skin.
Mecha skin.
Dang it.
Yeah.
So even when I try and correct myself, I
Classic
correct myself
Gizmo
into the
Knight.
wrong thing. Ugh. Gosh.
You're always talking about that. Heroes of the dorms.
See, you know what? I'm just gonna start saying that now. I'm just gonna embrace it. It's gonna be a
Don't
thing.
do it.
Here's the dorms.
Don't do it.
Lashes.
Hope
will
Lashes is in
be mad
chat.
at you.
Watch it, yeah. No.
Yeah.
So now we can move on to the important thing here, and this is the PTR patch that is currently going on, which of course has Phoenix in it. Have either of you gotten a chance to play him in a game? Have you?
I have not, but I have.
Yes.
I've tri-moded him, and I've played with and against them in a quick match.
TBK, how long did it take you to sit in queue?
Stupid long time.
Okay, that's I didn't even try this time because I just
About par
assumed.
for the course.
But part of me was hoping you were going to say, "Oh, I got right in," and then I'm like, "All right, I'm going to try it." Yeah, I only got to try him in try mode as well, and I'll be honest. We kind of knew or assumed Phoenix was going to be the hero that was announced with the StarCraft anniversary. People have been
You
wanting
mean
him for a long
called
time.
it?
Yeah. And it's been a weird thing for me because not only has this been the longest period of time between heroes, I know about Phoenix just because when people have been talking about him and wanting him for a while, that's the only thing I've known anything about him, or any way of how he was going to play. And so he was announced. I wasn't very excited. And I think that was due to the part that it's been a long time, our biggest drought between heroes. So I wasn't I wasn't mad or anything, but I wasn't very excited because it's like, well, okay, yeah, we're getting a new hero. Cool. Then I tried him in try mode, and this is going to be my dude, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
He is.
I think he's gonna be everyone's dude.
Yeah. Super
if he
fun.
stays like he is, he's going to be a lot of people's dude.
Yeah, no question. Well, even if he doesn't, even if they nerf the numbers, which, okay, probably they need it, the kit just speaks for itself. I mean, we can get into it a little bit here in a bit, but it's super fun and flavorful, totally different take on how to just do ranged assassins. And I mean, an escape, a gap closer, a really interesting one at that, super fun, interesting heroics. Like, I don't know. When I saw him, I was really excited. In part, I think because of the drought. Frankly, it was one of those absence makes the heart grow fonder moments for me, because it had been a while when we finally saw this announcement. I was super psyched. And also, I haven't played StarCraft 2 at all, not even once. But as a kid, I played StarCraft 1 quite a bit. And Protoss was kind of my jam back in the day. And honestly, the two units I was the most fan of are the Probe and the Dragoon. I used to just max out on probes and build photon cannons for fun. And I mean, my other thing when I was kind of new to the game too was just maxing out on Dragoon, because they kind of like, I don't know if you've seen it, they just all shoulder into battle, like try to stuff themselves down tight corridors and that sort of thing. And they're otherwise just shooting those little photon cannon balls. And so yeah, I mean, I like Dragoon. I think it's an interesting take on the unit in the game, and I mean, it's bringing in that StarCraft 1 flavor we were looking for.
I was going to ask you if he was in StarCraft 2 at all, but you just said you didn't play.
I think so. No, I think he is. I remember like we were talking about him some. I think he's one of those hero classes.
And Legacy of the Void
Chat,
stuff.
Help me out. Yeah.
Remember, our StarCraft lore is 0.5.
0.5 on the rating scale.
Yeah. So, I haven't spent a ton of time on him, just because, again, all I've played him is in try mode. So I haven't been trying out a ton of different builds. The one I was in try mode actually probably for like 40 minutes, something like that. Literally just with the same build, dominating the poor Artanis over and over again because I was having so much fun with it. And that's kind of the auto attack, stutter stepping, and then also like whenever your shield depletes, you gain movement speed, and you have the add-on to where you can deplete your shield automatically and get some auto attack damage increase. And oh my gosh, he seems like a blast. But TBK, you got to play him actual, in quick matches against other players. How do you feel?
He feels really good. Like, I feel like, again, this is, I love the talent tree. The talent tree of this hero is amazingly well designed, because I think there's some really good talent choices for if you just want to play him and not quite be as active, if that makes sense, with him. And then there's definitely a tree you can go down with activatable stutter stepping, like not necessarily like the piano Uther, but it just makes him much more involved, but ups the reward that you can get from it by a lot.
Yeah, you kind of control your own skill cap a little bit.
Yeah,
and it can get super high.
And I love that it's really cool that there's a talent tree like that. I love that they give the flexibility. If you don't want to go super hardcore and focus on that crazy stutter stepping, blowing your shield for huge damage, that type of thing, there's other alternatives that are really good too, but just not as involved. And so I really found that fun. The plasma cutter is a very new type of attack that we really haven't seen before, which is really interesting because it's a radius and it'll spin around twice, but you decide the size of the radius.
Right.
And where the laser starts, which is a really, really interesting idea. And I think once I get good at that, that's going to be extremely strong because it is a slow as well.
And he has a ton of talents to build off
slow.
Slows.
Yeah. It's a really big
4-second slow.
And you can use that, especially if you aim it well, because you can move while it's spinning around
and
too. So there is a little bit of like re-aiming, to go along with it. And so if you combine that with your Purification Salvo ult, which deals 50% increased damage on the little missiles it shoots to slowed targets, you could get a lot of value just from a combo perspective. Plus, he's got, great single target. He's got the switch weapon mode, which you get the AoE out of it. So he's got great wave clear too. He's pretty much everything you could want in the assassin package, and an escape.
Yeah,
he warps away. Like, it's fantastic.
I don't know. So when he warps, there's a slight delay, at least for animation value.
Right.
Do you still
half a second delay?
So do you still take damage whenever there's like the hologram thing of you there still, and not your actual body?
Like this, it can be interrupted.
Okay.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, it's 0.5 seconds to be interrupted, then you disappear and arrive 0.75 seconds later.
Okay.
But honestly, in the game I played, it was still hard to wrap on one and gank them, because really the second you stick your nose out of the bush, they've started it. And unless you're just super on them with some kind of range stun, it was kind of hard to. And so, that quick match game I played, not as one, but against them, that's what they were doing, is they were kind of relegated into the solo lanes, because he's just with that splashing photon cannon version is a decent solo laner, frankly, on top of everything else, and
very hard to gank, like you said.
So
cool.
Complete package.
The one thing I noticed that I don't know if it's a bug or if it was just happening in try mode, but that's the kind of stutter stepping talent where once you move you deal more damage, didn't seem to be working with his phase bomb mode.
Did for me,
and so it might have just been a try mode thing.
I think it does. I was looking at it. It seemed like it was critting the main target, but not the splashed ones. But I'm not sure on that one. I could be wrong.
Maybe on purpose. We'll have to check that out.
I just didn't notice any damage increase even on the main target for the try mode. So as long as it's working in game, that's good.
Yeah, right. Also, Planet Cracker is one of the coolest looking ults ever.
And sounding.
I love it so much.
That is just sick.
Oh, so good. It's so good. I'll probably pick it every time just because. It's a beam that travels across the entire map. It's the best.
And it's a pretty thick beam as well, isn't it?
It's not super
like Hinterland Blast?
thick. I think it's a little
Thinner?
thicker than that.
Oh, thicker? Okay. Yeah.
The catch is you have to stand still, and it is,
channeled,
global, which is cool, and channeled.
Yeah, which is good for like mosh pit and gazebo wall
and just getting super awesome snipes like in the dark.
It'll be really strong to combine with CC.
Right.
It's kind of like a combination between Falstad's Hinterland Blast and Li Ming's I don't know what it's called.
Oh, Disintegration Beam?
Yeah, Disintegration Beam.
Kind of. I also think there's something you can, like Dragon Arrow on Hanzo. I think there's a comparison there, just in that it's global.
And way better.
Does it have like a travel time, or is it just like bam, beam, speed of light? It's all the way across the map.
0.5 seconds to start it up, and then
bam.
It sounds exactly like that, except way better.
Well, does the beam itself, after the 1.5 seconds, like say you were trying to pick somebody off on the other side of the map, is there a travel time?
Oh, yeah, it's 0.5 seconds, and boom, it's there.
It's there?
Yeah, there's no travel time after that, I don't believe.
Nice.
It travels at the speed of light.
And Chad is saying it is thick with 3 C's. So
3 C's. Wow, yeah.
Not 2, 3.
That's super thick.
But yeah, this is, of course, one of his heroic abilities. We have the Planet Cracker, and then his others, the Purification Salvo, which TBK alluded to, kind of teaming up with his Plasma Cutter. That's a 1.5 second channel. You sweep a laser in front of Phoenix that locks onto enemy heroes. Once channeling finishes, fire 5 missiles at each locked hero, dealing 86 damage. Deals 50% increased damage to slowed targets. So that can definitely be a good combo.
There's something to that one too. I forget who I saw tweet out about it, but maybe it was Critic Kitten. I'm not sure. Someone was talking about how the video cites Tracer as one of his potential counters, just because she can kind of close the distance, stay inside the traveling ring of his ability and all that. But apparently this turns the table back around. You just lock onto her, unleash him, call it good.
Don't get the increased damage though.
Unless she's slowed by something.
It's kind of, I get a McCree vibe from this a little bit. So
yeah, kind of. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Maybe McCree's eventual ult's going to work like it.
Maybe we'll just get a McCree won't come into the game now, but we'll get a Phoenix McCree skin. You just put a little cowboy hat on top of him.
It's just the dragoon with
It's
the cowboy hat.
purification salvo.
Oh, it's good. And the cowboy hat's just on one of the legs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
Or he has cowboy boots on all of the legs.
Oh, God. This has to happen now.
I love it.
Yeah. We don't
And
want
then a
McCree
little
anymore.
cowboy hat sitting on top of the middle thing.
Right.
Maybe floating a little bit.
Spurs
I want it
on
already.
all 4 boots. Oh, man.
So there are some other stuff that's coming with this PTR. One of the big things here is in the draft mode. People have been talking a lot about. So you are not going to be able to see the opposing team's player names visible until they lock in a champion or hero. My bad. And some of you may think, well, okay, why is this a big deal? It's a big deal because a lot of people, what you'll do when you get into the draft is you'll right click on their name, pull up their profile, see what heroes they play, so you can do some target bans. And this pretty much negates the ability to do that, which has some mixed feelings amongst the community, because it's in a way takes some strategy out of your picks and bans. It makes it less like HGC, where those players obviously know picks. They can ban based off of teams they're going against. Now you're pretty much banning against the meta.
Which, in
but
my
are strong.
opinion, is how it should be. I mean, I know there's differing opinions on this, and we actually, on Discord, we had a really good conversation for a while, a couple days ago about it. But I am passionately in favor of this. Frankly, not everyone knows to profile snipe like that to try to pick individual picks out. And past that, I mean, I know that I can do that, but I rarely take the time. I just kind of, think through the map. What are the heroes that are good on it versus the just general meta, and base my decisions off that anyway. So keeping everyone, I think, on a more level playing field there is good. Bring into that the extra layer of, so, if you're in the middle of a Saturday and queuing in Hero League and you've already got your placements done and you're kind of in your little band, you can often get matched up with one person one game and then against them the next, and you can kind of say, oh, that dude was really good on Thrall last game, I'm going to ban Thrall out. And so you got a little bit of an advantage there. And then actually, I would have to go back to the Discord and see exactly who mentioned it. Apologies there, but they were citing as well minor regions like ANZ and how often that kind of thing happens and how much of a difference this is actually going to make for them. So I'm firmly in support.
I can understand that thinking, especially for smaller regions, but I am amongst the team not like this. I don't like this. I think, your first example of, some people may not, know how to do it. Some people you're playing against may not know how to build a correct talent build, or may not know how to stutter step, or use their abilities efficiently. It's one of those things that it shows, who knows more about the game, who's playing better. You're taking advantage of all the stuff that's given to you. And then again, it's I don't like the fact that you're just banning based on meta, because in that case, it's kind of like wasted bans. You're just banning, okay, this hero's broken, I'm just going to ban him, which you do a lot of times. If a hero's broken, anyways, yes. But I just don't like taking tools away from the strategy in draft. TBK, where do you land on it?
Break the tie, TBK.
I'm neutral.
Dang it! You needed to break.
I honestly don't care. Like, I see both sides of the issue, really. On the one hand, you've got people who want to see names who ban like one tricks or something. It's like, I just played Medivh to get into Masters, but my skill level is not that high because once Medivh's gone, just an average player type thing. I can kind of understand the thought process behind that, and sure, that's fine. At the same time, it does even the playing field a little bit more, because there's a lot of people who either don't or don't know to look up people's profiles during games, and the people who do know that and the people who do that can get a significant advantage. the problem is it's not super easy to do. And so I don't think you can say, oh, anybody has the ability to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's technically
technically
true, but not practical whatsoever. And so taking that away will, in a lot of ways, help level the playing field, because then you won't even have to worry about that. You just go, and maybe it'll help force slightly better bans and map picks, or learning how to draft a little better just from a map and hero perspective versus a player perspective.
Well, and to your point about the one tricks as well, I kind of want to play against that guy's Medivh. Dude's got 2,000 plus games logged on him. I want to see what a player like that is and see if I can come out over it.
No, you don't. We experienced that at our 3,000 game Asmodan guy in Alpha. We did not like his Asmodan. Yeah, ban that Asmodan out.
We banned him.
Yeah,
that was okay.
After
that
the
was
first game,
ban.
and he was useless then.
Yes.
Yeah.
It can work to your advantage, but
It can.
I don't know. There's something about like taking down a guy on his main. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too competitive.
So that's the big change to kind of user interface type stuff, I guess. And then a couple hero changes here as well.
I'll hit the design thing too, because this is actually a big deal.
Oh, yes, this is. So, and I actually didn't know that it didn't do this before. So armor now mitigates bonus damage dealt to shields by effects like Varian Shattering Throw and Kel'Thuzad's Strip Shields. I did not know that armor didn't mitigate that. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So is this? Do you think is a good change then, or it kind of makes? I mean, those talents were already kind of niche picks, and now they're even less useless or less effective.
I don't know if I like that. Like I didn't have a problem with it before, and like you said, you're only picking those talents against specific heroes, and that's the point, right? That's why those talents exist, is for situational use when you're up against a thing, so you can adapt, because you're always giving something up when you take shield breaker talents like that, because unless you're up against a Tassadar, there's really, the shield breaker talent isn't going to be good against every hero on the enemy team.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm a little confused by this. I don't know why it was necessary. I would love to see a developer comment on that as to the why, because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense in my mind.
It's a buff to Phoenix. I know that much. It's got a built-in shield. I will say this, and this is just guessing. You're right. There's no note on their part, of course. But it could be opening up some design space. I was thinking about this a little bit. Like the talents that we have against it now, Shattering Throw and Strip Shields, are super good against shields. But maybe they're going to open up a little bit more space for some abilities on heroes down the road that do bonus damage to shields, but not a lot, and it's just kind of built into a spammable ability or an auto attack or something. And maybe this is a way of making sure that those don't get out of control. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a random idea, but it could open design space.
That makes sense, but who knows when that's going to be?
That
and
stuff
I don't like
coming in before that design space gets opened up,
because that's at least 4 or 5 weeks out, anyways. And that's if it was the next hero that was coming out. So yeah, it's a kind of a it's a weird thing.
It's a little confusing.
Mm-hmm. It is.
So then we have Tracer here. Tracer's getting, in my opinion, a nerf. I think it's probably safe to say it's a fairly decent nerf. She is getting her health increased and her basic attack damage increased, but pretty much everything else is her cooldown reduction or cooldowns on basic abilities and damage on abilities is getting nerfed. Like Blink charge cooldown increased from 6 to 8 seconds. That's pretty big. The melee going from 254 to 220. That's pretty big. And then recall from 26 to 30. And then pulse bomb getting hit as well. So the reasoning for this to the developer comments, they've talked in the past about trying to make it less frustrating to play against certain heroes. So that's why they're making these changes Tracer, the general philosophy for these changes is threefold: reduce her overall mobility over time, reduce her burst damage, and increase the amount of time that she needs to stay in range of opponents in order to be effective. So I'm interested to see how this is going to affect her. If the health and the auto attack is going to make it where she's still doing enough damage, she's able to stay in the fights longer to make up for, less pulse bomb damage and less mobility. But it'll be interesting. I completely understand kind of trying to want to fight mobility here, because that's something people have had an issue with for a little while. What do you guys think about it?
I like it. I mean, I feel like, she's certainly strong right now. You also have to build a comp around her to really pull that off, though. And we've seen a ton of that in HGC. I mean, so many Tracer comps that are meant to kind of pad her, make her able to get in there, get all the burst that she needs off. I think cutting back on the burst is definitely going to change that strat. And I'm cool with it becoming maybe a little more sustained in a way, if she's getting more of her damage out of basic attacks and not so much the abilities. Because when you think about it, again, kind of like we talked about with Zul Jin, it's a super small numeric change. Basic attack damage increased from 27 to 29. That's 2 if you guys are doing the math in this case. But her bullets just come out so fast, and then she's got some of those talents that allow her to reload quicker and get extra bonuses off of it, that I think it's going to be a lot more sustained damage. So I don't know. We'd have to feel her out in the PTR, I suppose, at this point, in probably a comp built around her to fully know. And maybe we won't even really know until we see these changes go live in HGC, whether it just totally scraps those strats or if there's a way to still make it work. But I don't know. It seemed a little strong in HGC, and it was honestly not so fun to watch over and over, like the same kind of comp built around just Tracer. So I'm cool with it. It keeps things fresh and changes it up. But TBK, what are you thinking on this?
It's kind of interesting. I always thought one of Tracer's biggest issues was the speed at which she could get pulse bomb up.
Oh yeah.
So this might help with that a little bit. Man, the recall thing is really interesting, because this is a basic ability that is on a 30-second cooldown. That's pretty crazy for a basic ability.
Oh yeah.
Rainer notwithstanding.
I agree. You can make the argument that she has 4 basic abilities, because she does. So, but I completely agree with those sentiments.
Yeah, it just feels like we are really getting up there for a basic ability time now. I think a lot of the changes were probably necessary. It seems like they've gone with the more nerf pulse bomb instead of nerf the rate of pulse bomb for the most part. The extra health will help her to feel a little less squishy, and it seems like they did put a little more in damage into her auto attack, which will be more sustained damage rather than the burstiness of the W.
Yeah.
With her melee. So I think overall making her a little more sustained will be a good direction for her. What this actually does to her from a competitive perspective, because she was one of the top competitive heroes we saw in the clashes, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see.
Yeah. This should, I would think in the HGC, it's so hard to tell with the mobility cooldowns, but her sustain would be, nuts here, because doing more basic attack damage with like Tassadar shields, can get a lot more healing, but
more healing off it.
Yeah, who knows? We will have to see. TBK.
Yes,
I've been waiting for that.
Yeah, I was waiting to look at your face when I just it was coming. Varian.
Waiting for this. Woo! So Varian got a rework, and
technically, yeah,
I am equal parts extremely happy and tepid about this rework. Big thing starting off, huge health reduction, 2322 to 1850. So this is a huge early health nerf, as well as the health regeneration. The health scaling was increased from 3 to 4% per level. Basic attack damage was reduced from 91 to 74. Again, pretty significant. And then the basic attack damage scaling increased from 3.5 to 4%. So from a numbers perspective, I saw this on Reddit, and I don't remember the exact specifics, but for the most part, they've changed his damage scaling, or health scaling, or all his scaling pretty much from 3.5 to 4%. With the numbers they've changed, if I'm remembering right, most of these don't level out until late teens or early 20s with what they were before. So just keep that in mind. His heroic strike trait, the damage is also getting reduced from 140 to 125. That, of course, gets the scaling increase again. The Lion's Fang, and this is really interesting, it's getting a built-in heal. Mm-hmm. And I think this is meant to offset some of the health reduction.
Makes sense.
Hitting an enemy, just a straight enemy, heals variant for 35 and then a 4% scaling. So if you can hit the entire line of minions, you're getting pretty good healing off of that. Yeah. So this could potentially help him as maybe a solo laner. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. And then you also get 140 health if you hit a hero. So it's a decent heal for sure, especially if you hit multiple minions and or multiple heroes. His basic parry got a cooldown increase as well from 8 to 10 seconds per charge, and 5 extra mana cost.
And that's pretty big too.
Yeah, no, it's going to be less parrying. It's less parry and variant. Level 1, his overpower, which is his parry, the damage bonus did get increased from 20 to 30%. Then we hit level 4 and things get wacky because usually they say, move from level so-and-so from a talent. I don't think we've ever in history seen moved from level 10 for the entire tier to level 4.
No, we've had heroics at level 1 with Tracer. We've had heroics at level 9 with Chromie. Now we have heroics at level 4.
Yeah, insane. I actually, the first time I saw the patch notes, I don't know why I skipped over 4 and my eyes went straight to 10. And I read them. I was like, what did they do to these heroics? Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So now his taunt is at level 4. His Colossus Smash is at level 4, but the armor reduction it does was decreased from 25 to 20. And his Twin Blades was moved to level 4. Now, none of the bonuses have changed. So taunt will still get the health increase and the built-in armor. Colossus Smash will still get the increased auto attack damage. And Twin Blades will still get the auto attack damage nerf. So I believe it's 100% increase in auto attack damage for Colossus Smash and a 20% decrease in auto attack damage for Twin Blades.
But of course, you get the speed and the memes.
But yeah, you get the speed and the memes, which is very powerful in and of its own right. And so we'll talk about that in a second. They changed a few of the level 7s. The level 7 W talent is gone. So that's one interesting thing to note to help cooldown reduction. That's gone.
He no longer lives by the sword.
No, he does not. He dies by the Gul'dan.
The Legion cinematic is a lie. Anyway, go
yes. Level 10 is where things get really interesting because Shield Wall and Warbringer have been moved into the heroic spaces. Shield Wall now reduces parry's cooldown by 5 seconds but removes 1 charge. So you would have I believe it's a 1.5 seconds of invulnerability every 5 seconds. But no double charges of it. So you can't do 2 in a row anymore. So that's kind of an interesting way to balance it. And then Warbringer was moved from level 4, and it also allows variant to charge to allied heroes.
Which is cool.
Which is really cool. So potentially now, especially with the change to Shield Wall, you might have a little more of a case, because remember, Warbringer does significantly reduce the cooldown of his charge. And so now that you can charge to allies too, there might be more of a case for Warbringer, especially since Shield Wall doesn't come till 10 now. It's not like a level 4 invulnerability.
Well, that and like built on with his ranged healing now, you can dive in, do some damage, dive back to the backlines to your allies, and throw some Qs out to heal up.
Yeah,
he's like
completely on your auto attack heals.
I think one of the biggest things to point out is that you now have a taunt at level 4, which is pretty insane.
Real strong early game stuff.
Yeah, very, very strong early game.
That's
because
ahead of cleanse.
Champion most heroes have gotten their cleanse taken away, and those that have it don't get it till 7.
Mm-hmm.
So that's except for, and I don't know if taunt counts as, I don't know if Tyranda's new level 4 talents can cleanse taunt or not. Maybe not, because I don't think it counts as a stun. So maybe not. So yeah, level 7.
Yeah, very interesting. I
so
feel
that
like
that could be really, really strong early game.
Yeah, it could. And I was going to say, I feel like they put some of these nerfs, the baseline nerfs to like health, basic attack damage, that sort of thing, in just to compensate for the fact that you're going to have so much more uptime in the game. I mean, between levels 4 and 10 now that you have the heroics. So, I mean, they had to compensate for the bonus health you're going to get as taunt, the bonus attack damage, even the bonus attack speed. So it'd be interesting to see how all the numbers play out over like the entire course of a game. Honestly, TBK, if I were you, I would take a couple games and just jot down what your damage numbers are, siege versus heroic damage, and then just kind of compare it to what comes out in the end. And specifically for the Twin Blades build, of course, because the other ones don't matter.
Well, as all good Heroes fans should do, I'm waiting for Math of the Storm just to come out with the really pretty variant article that shows all the all the differences between, like, here was the old one, here's the new one. Just
complex.
Looking at the numbers right now and knowing that the actual scaling increase doesn't really kick in until late teens or early 20s for the most part, I am a little worried about the non-taunt builds. Because we already had our basic attack damage reduced from 91 to 74. And then Twin Blades, for instance, gets another 20% reduction on top of that. And that I'm just, and especially also with the heroic strike damage reduced as well, because that was part of the built-in damage, or part of the extra damage that came with, say, the Twin Blades build, because you're attacking more often, so you're getting more heroic strikes off. I'm a little worried about the actual viability of the other two. Now,
like, what's it going to do to his murking? His early
that's the big question, right? Is
seems like it would nerf
will it do anything to his murking? Will it do anything in his for his ability to solo bosses? And what level can he solo bosses now? Because remember, he doesn't get the invulnerability until 10 now.
Right.
And so it's not something I've had time to test, and something I'm definitely going to be checking out once in depth once it goes to live and trying things out. But I mean, that was kind of like, for at least in the specific situation of Twin Blades, that was kind of the niche. Is now he's an awesome merker. Now he can solo those bosses at level 10, chase you down and do a lot of damage. He was weak against CC. There was a very specific thing, and it was very good at what he did. So I'd be really interested to see if this really messes with that, or if it still feels good just at level 4 instead of level 10. And the Colossus Smash against a team that wasn't prepared for it or didn't know how to play around it, like, currently it's just deadly. It's an extremely deadly pick to go, because you can just instantly delete a target so fast. And so having that armor reduced from 25 to 20 will help curb that as well. So I think I'm more just worried about those two competing with a level 4 taunt.
Yeah. Fair point.
And base armor and a big health increase.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting. It is a very big change for him for sure.
Which, by the way, the developer comment starts out, "We're making a simple change to Varian."
That is a lie.
Yeah.
That is a lie, developer comment. This is a significant change.
Yeah.
It is kind of weird it wasn't billed as a rework. I mean, I know it isn't exactly, but it's as close to some reworks as we've seen, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's not going to rage instead of mana or anything crazy like that, but it's big.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, Lily. Just getting a few talent changes here. So Wind Serpent at 1 is actually getting new functionality, which I actually think is kind of cool. It reduces Cloud Serpent's cooldown by 2 seconds, and then casting Cloud Serpent also launches Blinding Wind at an enemy near the target. So I don't know if that's like a Blinding Wind coming out of the Cloud Serpent that you're casting on somebody, or if that's a Blinding Wind coming out of you when you cast it. But either way, it's cool. And then level 4, Hindering Wind, slow amount reduced from 30 to 25%. Obviously, that is much more important than either of the other 2 changes we've had in the PTR.
Obviously.
Oh, the main one. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So, man, it's going to be an exciting week next week to see what the heck is going to happen. Not only once Phoenix enters, but what's going to happen to Tracer, what's going to happen to Varian. It's going to be nuts. We'll keep an eye on it. But the HGC Eastern Clash wraps up this weekend, and I did not get to watch all of the games like I did the Western Clash, but we got to catch some, and we're going to talk about it. TBK?
All right, close your ears if you don't want spoilers.
Yeah, I did that about halfway through our Western Clash thing, so
yeah,
would have been on top of
it. Just warning you now. Korea looked really good.
Oh yeah,
like
as they tend to do
in
all esports.
The Eastern Clash, and I didn't get to catch quite all of the games, but Korea was extremely dominant throughout this entire tournament. But I think the biggest story was what almost happened in the Western Clash. Mm-hmm. And this was the come from the lower bracket comeback. And while we didn't get a game, game 7, Towers of Doom, down to the last team fight for the win, we got a full series of KSV Black versus Ballistics, who came from the lower bracket after getting beat by KSV Black 3-0. They beat Tempest 3-2, and then they came back and beat KSV Black 4-3.
Actually, quick correction, it did come down to the last team fight. It just wasn't as, I guess, intense as the Western Clash one. Ballistics and KSV Black were going back and forth in the bottom lane for quite a lot of time. And then, but yeah, I mean, I think J-How at one point, even during casting it, had said, it comes down to the next team fight. Whoever wins, wins. And that's how it went down. So, but yeah, so I mean, that's 2 giant series in a row that have come down to the last match in a best of 7 and a nail biter.
I mean, you really can't ask for more.
No, yeah.
Like they both the Western and Eastern Clash have given us some of the best heroes that I've ever seen, period.
Mm-hmm.
Like it speaks well for the scene, I think.
It really does. I think, and again, I kind of harped on this earlier. Just from a production standpoint, it was fantastic too. But I really feel like Blizzard needs to do something about draft length. It is too long.
It's awful.
It is just too long.
And
that's really my only negative about.
I would level the same complaint against the YouTube posting of the VODs. I checked earlier today and I didn't see day 3 up yet. I'll check right now, but
I bet they're not on the HGC website.
oh, they're definitely not there. But I
I
mean,
actually haven't even
as,
checked.
like, playlists on YouTube.
I haven't even checked to see if the Western Clash games are up on the finals are up on the website yet. I imagine they are, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they're not.
Yeah.
That's my one thing. My one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last videos are day 2. This is as of our recording Wednesday. Yeah, Team Blossom versus whoever. Ballistics. So yeah. Anyway, I mean, it sounds like a minor thing, but when you do live that VOD life, it's a pretty major thing. I had to go to Twitch today to actually catch up on the finals, but which was fine. Not the end of the world.
Well, and I mean, yeah, and those of us who it's a ridiculously different time zone, we do live that VOD life for a lot of these games and stuff. So I mean, I think that's a valid criticism for sure. But yeah, apart from that, the draft times are really my only issue with competitive heroes right now. It's just too much. We need to figure out. We need to reduce the time. We need to figure out a way to bring that time down, especially as the talk heats up for more and more about adding more bans.
Yeah,
we need to figure out a way to break this down a little bit and shorten up draft times, as we have had drafts in pro games that have gone longer than the game itself.
Well, and it's not only the draft
doesn't happen
themselves,
that often, but it has happened.
Yeah, but even like the time after the draft till the launch of the game, at some point can be really long as well. And I love the desk analysis of the draft and who their picks are going to be and stuff.
That's my favorite part.
But it's that does add quite a bit of length.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it really does. But otherwise, like, production was fantastic. Some of both tournaments, some of the best I've ever watched. So kudos to Blizzard for that. Moving on, Blizzard has released a statement that Urho was suspended for the remainder of 2018 due to a series of violations of the HGC. Urho is being fined $1,500 and suspended for the rest of the year. In addition, his team Simplicity has chosen to release him. Simplicity will use a substitute for week 6 of HGC North America play and will have until March 28th to choose a replacement team member. So we will let you guys know as soon as we hear who that replacement is. There's a lot of good players, so they have a good pool. Also, for week 6 of HGC play, they will interestingly be using the Sonya hotfix patch, which is actually the patch that came out March 9th. So they will not be on the latest one. Yeah. Which is
that was the balance.
A little interesting.
Is the balance patch today with Sonya, or is that the PTR? I'm getting the mix. That's the balance patch today, right?
Balance patch today would still technically be the Sonya Medivh balance patch.
Right.
Because Sonya Medivh was the last major patch.
Yeah.
So I guess we're gonna have to wait a week to get a little more up to date. It's just kind of weird, them starting off the new phase without all the extra, like, Medivh, Maev nerfs, all that jazz. It's going to be very different.
Yeah.
I think it speaks to the weirdness of this gap of time between heroes, you know? Like, I mean, we've always been behind, but typically in the past it's been because a new hero just dropped and they want to give the teams time to practice and scrim with them and maybe tweak the heroes, make sure they're okay before that happens. And so without that, I mean, we still see the gap of time. So I'm sure there's a reason, but it's just different this time.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll see them move to a much more recent patch in week 7. But speaking of week 6, that is this weekend. Starting Friday, March 23rd, we will have HGC back. Yay! That's exciting. Been waiting for my weekend heroes back. It's going to start off Friday afternoon with Simplicity. Well, it's starting off in the morning for my EU brethren. We will see Zealots versus Diamond Skin, followed by Dignitas versus Team Liquid. On Saturday, it will be Dignitas versus Fnatic, Method versus the Leftovers, and then finally ending off The EU side with Leftovers versus Zealots, and Diamond Skin versus Tricked. And then over on the NA side, we will have Heroes Hearth versus Simplicity on Friday and Team Freedom versus No Tomorrow. And I do want to clarify this because people might be like, what? No Tomorrow? The players that were with Space Station Gaming have apparently dropped their org. And if you listened, it's probably several episodes back now, we had an interview with Trent Esports, who kind of talked through the process of how the new system of HGC is org-owned spots, but there were some that were grandfathered in to where they were player-owned spots, and that's where the whole Roll20 thing came about, because the players didn't want to relinquish their spot to the org.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Roll20 doesn't currently exist right now. I don't know for sure, but I assume that this is a similar situation where either the players bought out the spot, or Space Station gave up the spot, or the players own the spot and were just sponsored and weren't happy with their org or whatever. But regardless of what it is, they are now No Tomorrow, and I assume looking for a different organization.
Maybe we'll see Roll20 back.
I hope
that would be interesting. Yeah,
I would love to see Roll20 back, because I think from now on, once an org takes a team, that org will take the spot.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm aware. So anyways, just to clarify why the No Tomorrow moniker is back. Saturday the 24th, Team Freedom versus Team 12, then Tempo Storm versus Looking for More Esports, and then finally Heroes Hearth versus Gale Force and Looking for More versus Simplicity on Sunday.
So heading into the second phase here, who do you think is coming out on top in NA and EU?
Ooh, I think still possibly Tempo Storm, NA. They've just looked strong in the past. They did well in the Western Clash, and I don't see why the momentum would shift too much necessarily, but I mean, it certainly could. We've seen in the past, there's major shakeups that happen all the time. I, of course, would like to see Heroes Hearth continue to improve. I think we've seen that over time, and I think we still will, but as whether they come out on top, to be determined, but it's not impossible. So, and we're all just kind of Heroes Hearth fans here at the desk anyway. EU, that's one where I would love to see Zealots continue their momentum from the Western Clash, honestly. Don't know if they will. I mean, teams like Dig, you got to look at some of these others. Fnatic, historically, have just been so strong. It could go anyway, I think, but I don't know. For some reason, the Western Clash just got me jazzed for the Zealots, and I'm keeping that momentum myself. So, TBK, what do you think?
I agree. I think we'll see, especially considering their performance, much bigger things from Heroes Hearth, or at least I'm expecting much bigger things from Heroes Hearth this second go round. Tempo Storm looked very strong. I expect them to continue to be dominant. Team Freedom was actually the one that did not really live up to expectations. They looked much weaker than they did during the playoffs. So it'll be really interesting to see if they end up going anywhere as well. On the EU side, Zealots, they certainly made a name for themselves, so it will be interesting to see if they can keep it. Dig will probably continue to remain one of the top teams, and we have to remember that as good a sub as it was, Fnatic still was playing with a sub at the Western Clash, and they did quite well still, even with that person being gone. But the person was gone was their shot caller.
Yeah.
And so that is a huge, huge deal. So I expect big things from Fnatic as they continue to work together as a team and synergize more.
All right. For myself, I'm going with Heroes Hearth. I think they're going to come out on top going into the midseason brawl. They're a fairly new team that hasn't been playing together as long as some of these other teams, and I think they've shown incredible growth. I think that is a hungry team that is doing everything they can to get better, and I'm really excited to see what they do. And then Dignitas has shown that they can bleed, and Zealots had a good showing at Western Clash. They beat them in the regular season, and I think it's going to be really close between Zealots, Dig, and Fnatic, but I think we're going to see Zealots on top.
All right.
My predictions. I'm going with the underdogs. I don't know if they're really underdogs. It's whatever.
They didn't look like they're not going to be underdogs going into this
Not
one.
now. Yeah.
Not now.
Yeah,
I
I didn't say Zealots this week. All right.
You did.
You did some kind of weird blend of the two, but yeah.
Zealots.
Yeah, we'd have to go
You kind of
back.
morphed it back
See,
to Zealots as you were talking through your.
It came off like you had a southern drawl. You were like, Zealots.
there's a reason that I'm never going to get better at this. And it's because when I do say something correctly, finally, everyone makes such a big deal about it that I get. It's like you're rewarding me with a puppy treat or something. And
good job for pronouncing words, Gizmo.
yeah. Gosh. Anyways, moving on. Community content this week. TBK, what do you got?
This is actually kind of a continuation from last week. McIntyre put out his How to Draft a Basic Composition Part 2, this one focusing on assassins. And I want to shout this out because, again, it is an incredible, more generic guide on how to or what to look for in an assassin to pick in what situation. And I think that's absolutely incredible, just base knowledge to have. The link's going to be in the show notes, and I suggest everyone read it because it's really good stuff.
Excellent. Yeah, the Heroes Hearth articles and builds and everything, that website is great. And if you haven't checked it out for whatever reason yet, you should definitely do so. And also, huge congratulations to them on crossing the 10,000 user mark.
That's right.
So good
Very
job.
cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, we got some listener questions to knock out this week, so let's go ahead and jump on into those. All right, Multi, our first one here from Kyle T.
Kyle, we told you we'd get to it, so here we go. Okay. He writes, all right, boys, weekly question time. What hero is out of the meta right now who you really miss? And I've thought about this one quite a bit. My answer isn't always necessarily completely out of the meta because, he's good in several situations. Certain maps he can perform well, and he's, I think, one of the best goalies, if you will, in terms of protecting a keeper fort. And you guys guessed it, Ragnaros. When he was announced at the BlizzCon 2016, just floored me. He's one of my favorite just Blizzard characters, period. And I think that what they've done is brought a really interesting kit into the game with him. But it just seems like after some of the nerfs that he'd had, especially to his Q build and that sort of thing, you just can't take him in every game like you once could, which is a good thing. I mean, I don't want there to ever be a hero that's top pick and ban and that you can take in any situation by all means. But I don't know. I just feel like when I play him now, I get in a group fight, and even though I feel like I play him fairly well, I'm really having to manage okay, when do I go in for the Q? How long do I actually really even stay in? Because his survivability isn't that great. And then if I don't go the Q build, am I then just giving up and saying, okay, well, we're going to go W or some of the others? And so I don't know. He's in kind of a weird spot for me, and I would like to see at least a tiny tweaking upward for him, just so we can kind of get him in even just some more quick match games again. Because he's still fun to play. I feel like I can do what he does better on other heroes. And then they release heroes like Phoenix coming up here, who's probably going to do all the things that he can, but astronomically better, at least in terms of damage and escapability and all that. So I don't know. I'd like to see a little uptick in him. But
okay. For me personally, it's more of a group of heroes, and that's going to be the auto attackers. But if I have to give one specifically, I'll say Vala. It's been a long time since we've seen her in any competitive situation or really in game. She's kind of back there with Raynor now. So with the changes that are coming to Ariel, to some of the auto attackers, with Phoenix coming out, I'm hoping we see a resurgence in those, and maybe she'll make an appearance. TBK?
Hey, she got a buff to her W.
Yeah.
Multi-shot. She's back.
She's going to be the new sneaky OP that gets buffed like a little bit, 3 or 4 patches in a row, and then all of a sudden, just like Thrall, you're like, oh crap, she's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, she's been that way. For me, I was going to say Varian, but who knows what's going to happen now after this kit change. Then I was going to say Nova, but she was never in the meta, so that doesn't work. And then I was thinking Ragnaros, but then Multi took it.
So you got nothing.
So I'm actually going to say Alarak. Because we saw him play to insane effect by some of the Korean teams after he came out, and just the things they were able to do with his telekinesis and his displacement and his silence was absolutely insane. And I think I don't know, maybe it's become too dangerous for Alarak right now just because of the way the meta is. Maybe he needs a little something extra. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but he's just got such an interesting kit, and I feel like such powerful playmaking abilities when played well. And when you're playing against a good Alarak, like you can tell instantly. It's just like, oh, I'm dead. Crap, that guy's really good.
And that is true now.
I want to see him more again.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
We got another question here from Zebulon, which, by the way, I love the name. I don't know why, but it reminds me of, what was it, Xenon, girl from the 21st century? Some protozoa.
You're going
zoom,
old school Disney Channel.
Make my heart go boom, boom. Supernova girl. Anyways.
Just happened.
This kind of goes with the discussion that we've been having last week, I think the week before as well, with bracket layout formats for HGC and tournaments. And we've talked about the issues with having, can kind of feel bad giving the winner's bracket team a game advantage. Round robin can take too long. And if I understand his idea here correctly, I think it could be pretty interesting. So he says, for the Clash, rather than doing a full round robins, what if we use the seed from their regions and do a best of 5 first seeds team, or the first seed teams play each other, then the second seeds, and so forth, all the way down to the 4 seeds. The winning team keeps their seed, and the losing team falls to the next seed. And they play through those to get seeding for a bracket. And if I understand this correctly, and I think he said it would be like 10 games before we get the bracket. So say we have Tempo Storm and Dignitas first seeds. They're going to play each other. Winning team, boom, they keep their first seed for the bracket. Losing team's going to be second seed. And they'll play the winner of the second seed game and trickle itself all the way down until we have a 1 through 8 or whatever it would be, however many people are in the tournament. And it's an interesting idea. I like it and I don't like it at the same time. Again, all formats are going to have pros and cons. This one is cool because you can see the top teams play each other right out the gate. It's also a bad thing because that's going to be a super hyped game, which a lot of times you'll want for the grand finals. So that technically could be a preview of the grand finals right out the gate, which can be kind of weird. As well as if the first seed team wins, they're going to be waiting a really long time before they play another game, which could be good for some teams, bad for other teams. But I kind of like how different the format is, and that it's kind of a miniature tournament. It's almost reminds me of the step ladder tournament they did for, I think it was the mid-season brawl last year, for the teams to get into the tournament. I think it was for the second or third spot, where they had the 4th and 5th seed play each other. Winner for that played the 3rd seed, and so or up the ladder. So it's different, but I like it, and I'd like to see it kind of played out, but I don't know if it would be better than round robin or the winner loser bracket.
Yeah, I think the main takeaway is that there's just more options, and I think Blizzard's shown, the drive to try out different options. Talking even just about this double elim that we've seen in the previous 2 clashes versus the one you were talking about with the step ladder. So, I am totally cool with if anyone else has ideas to throw our way. I'd like keeping this conversation going because, yeah, I'm still in the camp where the double elim bracket isn't fully satisfying to me, and yeah, I mean, I think there could be some legs to this kind of idea of like reshuffling the seeds within the tournament to then play out as a different bracket. There's something cool there. I don't know.
TBK?
Yeah, I mean, it's all formats are gonna have their pros and cons, like you said.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to tell if I like it until I saw it actually played out, to get a feel for it.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting idea. So I thank you for saying that in. I do appreciate it. Next one we have here from Shadius Multi.
Yes. So Shadius writes, "Hi guys, I've been listening to your pod for a year now. Great show and super funny. I'm from Argentina, parentheses, South America, and this year I'm planning to go to the BlizzCon. Can you make a little section telling us some tips of what we need to take in account to have a nice trip? What concerns me most is the hotel location and how other considerations like, which areas near Anaheim are good, how near the convention should I be looking for, and any other tips. Also, if we know anything about the tickets and sale dates, anything like that. Love you guys and keep up the great work you're doing for the HOTS community. And congrats to TBK for the new little heroine." And that's female hero spelled with an E at the end. If you guys are...
No, TBK is now a drug dealer to support the family. He was a little low on money selling heroin.
But they're set now, man. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, and so he also had another section there down below. So for the Dr. Phil section from the previous episode, this is again a conversation that we had with another question that was sent in regarding, meeting people from the opposite gender who are not gamers and kind of divulging that you are a gamer, kind of bringing them into that world. So here's his take on it. My wife isn't a gamer, but as a nerd, she doesn't hate games at all. So as a Nintendo fan myself, I bought some local cooperative games, and we're having a lot of fun together on the Switch, and it's another thing we can share now. Also, I found a game that's kind of like a Skyrim with cats. She loves cats, called Cat Quest, an RPG in which you play as a cat knight who slays dragons. She has already completed the main story and is now doing all the secondary quests. So from my experience, you should always be honest about what you like and try to share it with your partner, and also share the other person's hobbies and be supportive. And then closes with, "Bye guys, and see you all in the Nexus." So that's a super interesting point. I like, because again, I mentioned on that episode too that my wife's definitely nerdy, just not like gamer nerdy, but she's super into sci-fi. So I've honestly I'll probably turn to you on this one, TBK, but I'm thinking about trying to get her into like Mass Effect, maybe at least the first one or second one. I don't know. When does it cut off? When does it get bad?
Go second one.
Just second one? Okay.
Second one.
Stuff like that she can get into.
Yeah, because any game that has like a good story mode, or any game that has a difficulty that you can turn to like a story mode is a really good way to kind of get people interested, because then it's a little more movie-like, a little more narrative-driven, and you're not just jumping into multiplayer games against people who've been playing for forever and getting super frustrated.
Dog.
Angry dog.
Like the dog. Like the dog sounded super frustrated.
Okay.
So, yeah. Don't be like the dog and be super frustrated. Just play co-op games.
Yep. I'm trying to talk. I really am trying to talk. Because I want to go back to Shadius' first question here. Stop it. Anyway,
I'll go while your dog can calm down here.
I think she's okay, but yeah, go ahead.
So as far as BlizzCon stuff, we definitely each year we kind of go through BlizzCon tips, tricks if it's your first time going or if you're viewing from home, what to do. We can't as far as hotels and stuff, a lot of people book them right after BlizzCon is over for the next year, because we don't know, but for the most part, we can assume that BlizzCon will be the first weekend in November. It's typically what it is. People usually fly in either Wednesday or Thursday. Some people get there Tuesday or a week before or whatnot. And really, it's the hotels are going to be stupid expensive. They really are, just for that weekend. So to get anywhere like super close, you were going to have to be paying quite a bit of money. My first year, I was, well, according to the website, half a mile from the convention center. I ended up being, I don't know what it was, but it was like a 45-minute walk that I did at 1:30 in the morning. That was fun. And it was a really run down, bad place. Like I'd get out of the shower, walk across the room, and my feet were black again. I had somebody try and break into my room in the middle of the night and sell me drugs. Well, they didn't break in. I guess my door was unlocked and they just walked in. It was weird.
Not breaking and entering.
True story.
Entering.
Might have been TBK with his heroin.
Maybe.
No, he's just like, did you want the drugs? Like, no, man, I think you got the wrong room. Oh, sorry. And then he walked out.
Wow. Well, that sounds like a place I wouldn't frequent.
It was cheap
a second time.
And
I'm sure it was
I
cheap.
was only in that room to sleep. It was my fault. I didn't use the deadbolt. How he had a card to that room, who knows? But something I do now, like if you're going to be going with people, you can do like the rent a house for the weekend or whatever. We did that last year. I think we had like 10, 12 of us in one house. These houses typically have beds and everything, pull-out couches, because families rent them to go to like Disney World for the weekend. And I think we each paid like $200 for 4 nights, which is going to be cheaper than any hotel that you're going to find. So if you can find a group of people, that is a great way to go. Otherwise, it's really almost just like, what can you get in the area? And you can always Uber ride. If you're willing to go a little bit further out, it does get cheaper.
Yeah, that's a good tip. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think, honestly, I think we should have another section like this where we get more into, even like tips on what to bring to the con and that sort of thing, just as we get closer, for sure.
We usually do the few weeks before.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. As for ticket sales, I mean, it's got to be coming up in April, right?
Yeah, it's typically like late April, and then the next round's mid-May? Something like that?
I thought the second round was even later. We'd have to look. There was a third round last year. So.
Yeah, there was a third round. That was the first year that we had seen a third one.
I don't see them doing that again. They'll probably, if I could guess, they'll probably have 2 rounds, but they just allow for more.
Yeah, we may hear something at like around PAX. I would imagine we'd hear something here soon, very soon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else have any tips or anything besides locking your door? Deadbolts are good.
Lock your door. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, if you can find other people from your area who are going, then yes, you can get through the con a lot cheaper, for sure. Most people have roommates, just because, like they said, the hotels are stupid expensive. Right. They do get cheaper the further you go from the actual conference, but those come with their own set of problems, apparently.
Yeah, you can get nicer hotels further away. I didn't. I paid like $60 a night for mine, and that's why. Just know that
Uber is probably going to be needed if you are far. You do a ton of walking, and the last year was the first time I did a place that was a little further back from the conference area, and I regretted it so much, or more my feet regretted it a lot. Mm-hmm. Just having to go back, because being closer and just being able to drop stuff off or pick stuff up when you need to is a huge perk.
Even just going back to the room for a quick, cool down even can be super helpful. So, yeah, I mean, if you could swing it, obviously the main hotels right there are technically the way to go, but comes with the price. And you have to fight for availability, of course. So, but again, you can offset that with roommates, like you said. We definitely did that in 2016.
And you can also, if you don't know anyone else that's going, you can go to, I think it's looking for more BlizzCon, LFN BlizzCon.
Yeah, something like that.
And that's not only a site where people are selling tickets; it's a site where people are looking for roommates for that very reason. And
I would imagine reach out in other communities. Our Discord, Heroes Hearth, probably. I mean, I've got to think there's like-minded people looking for that sort of thing. I may be one of them. And by the way, guys, I can sleep on floors really well. I've slept under the sink in
He's already
before.
starting the begging.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
please,
exactly.
somebody take me.
I could probably sleep standing up in a closet if I was tired enough. So just throwing that out there.
Or you just don't sleep at all. That's also an option.
That's kind of what happens, actually.
It is, some people do that. But yeah, it is lfblizzcon.com. And that is not only a place to find roommates, but it's also a place to find tickets if for some reason you do not get a ticket in the initial batch.
And I've heard good things about that website. I've met people who met their roommates and stuff on that website. It's not Blizzard official, anything like that. No. So of course, do your research. But it's
so you are supposed to sell the tickets at cost, which is I think the main thing. Yeah, it's for people that have bought in surplus and then had a buddy that
or can't go,
whatever it's in, or
I think we do have a couple more questions here. I think we can do one more tonight, and we'll try and knock the rest out next week. So let's hit this one from Tech.
Yeah, this is a good one for now. So Tech writes, with the suspected new hero coming out, I know a lot of people want it to be Cain. However, wouldn't it make more sense for it to be another angel, since Tyrael, Ariel, and Malthael have been added, such as Imperius or Itheriel? I know this is a stretch, but maybe even consider Izual. So first off, I don't think Izzy's a stretch. He was in Diablo 2 and 3, and is kind of this like fallen angel dude in both games, and kind of a fun fight in either one. I remember his Izzy. Yeah, that's what they called him in
D2. They're buds. they are like this.
Oh yeah. No, in D2 he was known as Izzy for short.
Okay.
I actually, anytime I learn that someone's actual name is Izzy, and my wife has a coworker like this, I think of Izual every time. Anyway,
fun facts with multi.
That's right. So no, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I don't know if they're going to do it for this one. I'm still in kind of the Deckard Cain and or Ravenlord now camp personally, but I mean, I don't see any harm in getting a couple more in. I don't really know a lot about Imperius or Itheriel. I mean, I remember Imperius from Diablo 3. He was the kind of jerky.
He's the moody one. It's like, why are you here? Leave.
Right. So I mean, that could be cool. But
I want Imperius. I want Imperius so bad. He is one of, and it's one of the sweetest looking models, like just from the cinematics, incredibly amazing looking. I would love to see Imperius in game. I think they could do some really cool stuff with him.
Yeah, I'd love to see all these in game, but I don't think that it makes more sense because they have Tyrael and Ariel and stuff. That's like saying, well, it makes more sense to do Belial because they have Azmodan and Diablo, or makes sense to do Orc because we have Thrall and Garrosh and all those. It almost makes more sense to do Cain because we already have angels. But I don't know. I'd love to see all of those, but I'm all aboard the Cain train until until we either get him or
the Cain train.
It took us this long, but we've got the episode title, folks.
Yeah, I was leaning towards TBK and Heroin until All Aboard the Cain train came out of my mouth. So
I was gonna say less Perry and Varian, but
that's good too.
Well, that's good too.
It's good.
All Aboard the Cain train. That's what I'm sticking with.
Yep. All right. That's gonna do it this week. Again, we do have some more. Sorry if we didn't get to them this week, but we're running a little long. But before we get out of here, Multi, why don't you let people know where we can be reached?
You can find us in-game, certainly, by typing /join space LOTS, or we're on Discord, which is a couple places, sticky at the top of our Twitter, which is at Lords of the Storm, or you can just go to bit.ly/lotsdiscord and check us out there, too. We're also on Twitch, though, Lords of the Storm, twitch.tv/Lords of the Storm, I should say. We also have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Lords of the Storm podcast. And by the way, Gizmo, happy Facebook friend-iversary.
I saw that today.
You and me, buddy. Did you watch the video?
I haven't yet.
I haven't either. Okay, but anyway, we have a page there, facebook.com/Lords of the Storm podcast. And you can email us with feedback or questions, as many of these people have, lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. And if you want to help out the show, a couple good ways of doing it, one of which is just leaving reviews, preferably positive ones, but whatever you feel. iTunes, Stitcher, any of the other media. I don't know. And then we also have our Patreon, which is patreon.com/Lords of the Storm, where if you feel the need to give back to what we do here, think what we do has some value in your commute or whatever, and you're able to, then by all means, we'd appreciate anyone who's ever considered it. And if you don't, if you don't want to do it, or if you just can't manage it, can't swing it right now, totally cool too. We're going to keep doing this regardless.
Yeah, and don't forget, if you want a high-res version of that sweet art, community art that we have, you get that at any level. So no matter what you give, if you just want to support the show. You can also find us individually, myself on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, all those things at GizmoZord, as well as on Convert to Raid Presents the BattleNet News, which is Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Central over at twitch.tv/Convert to Raid. Multi, where can you be found?
I'm going to be on Twitter at Multizord, and I'm also on another show called Hearth Casual, which is on Twitter at Hearth Casual, one word. And it's with Ro from Realm Maintenance, or Brian Black. And so this week we're actually talking about a couple different topics. We're getting into, because, the Witchwood's coming out pretty soon, probably less than a month from now, actually. We're looking at mid-April there. And so with it, there's going to be some new PvE content with, the different form of dungeon runs. So we're actually going to go this episode, record it tomorrow. We're going to cover dungeon runs as they are now, the Kobolds ones, because we're a newer show. We hadn't quite gotten around to it yet. Just giving some tips on some individual classes, as well as just overall kind of how to knock that out. Because I finally finished. I'm 9 out of 9 as of this past weekend. Just one of the things I wanted to crush out before Witchwood. So I imagine others want to do the same, and check us out because we'll help you out.
I'm still 100% clear rate
With your one run?
Yep. So I can't
keep that for life.
Yep.
Keep that for life. Yep.
TBK, where can you be found?
You can find me on Twitter at TBKZord and not streaming on twitch.tv/TBKZord. You can also find me on Heroes Hearth writing articles for them. I hopefully will have a new one coming out next week.
Nice.
Excellent. I want to give a special thanks to our patron producer, Ouroboros Sword, for helping support the show, as well as Blizzard for featuring us on the launcher tonight. Thank you very much. And to all of those in chat, our mod, Wicked Kitten. Until next time, we will see you all same time, same place next week, 9 p.m. Central. Have a good one.
Enough. I shall do no more.
Bam. Bang, bang, boom.